Gather round, friends, new and old, and welcome to the POWWOW podcast. My name is David. I'm your host.
And I'm your other host, Philip.
And we are gathered around this campfire today. And how are you, Phil? How are you feeling after this fine week?
You know what? It's a good week around here in these parts. I actually just, we always talk about this, but I won a bet against a friend from work. Yes, and as such, I will be dining on the fine cuisine that is a chicken pot pie during the entirety of our recording of both this and knock, knock, knock on the episode next, as we will be doing 2 in a row. Ooh. But I will be enjoying a chicken pot pie while we eat, so I can't have any real complaints. Have you ever had a chicken pot pie, and do you like them?
I mean, I've had pies before. I'm sure there's been one that was chicken. And I've had steak and ale pie, and I like
steak
pie.
And ale
there's
pie.
No one who does it better than the Brits. That's one of the fine things about British cuisine is a good pie.
Isn't that what bangers and mash is? A pie?
No, bangers and mash is sausages and mashed potatoes.
Ah, got it.
Yeah.
Well, how are you?
Shepherd's
How's your
pie
week?
has mashed potatoes on it.
I do love shepherd's
there.
pie. Oh,
my week was very average and not terrible. Good weekend. Very good weekend. I played Jeu de Boule.
Jeu de Boule.
Jeu de Boule.
What is Jeu de Boule?
Jeu de Boule with a B. It's that game where there's like a little ball, and then you have to throw big metal balls and try to get them as close to the little ball as possible. I played that in a park with some new acquaintances.
So you played with your balls in a park. Nice.
I did. And I was drinking the entire time. And yeah, and I saw a movie. And that's about as interesting as my week has been. There's other stuff too, but we won't go into that.
Fantastic. But can I ask which movie, or is that going to be for That Slaps later on?
Oh, TBD, my friend.
TBD. Okay. Well, let's
move on.
Let's not waste any time then. Let's get to the main topic.
Let's go.
This week, we want to talk about jobs. We all got jobs to do. In fact, we're doing ours right now. We're talking, and we're entertaining you. But
you know what's funny? I still haven't gotten my paycheck.
Yeah, you know what? It's lost in the mail.
How long have we been doing this? My first paycheck, my second paycheck. 12, 13, 14 months of paychecks just gotten lost in the mail. It's crazy.
I think it's a stamp thing, David. I didn't put enough stamps. I'm sorry.
Can't trust the postal service.
No, absolutely not. They're not reliable at all. But we want to talk about jobs, and more importantly, jobs that we have in mind for the other. Now, we know for each other kind of what we like to do, what it is that we are best at. And you know what? We thought, why don't we put each other on the application and see if we can find something that the other might like? And for our first one, jobs that we think the other might not like. So let's do that first. David, I think that there's a job that you would absolutely hate. And the first one that I thought of was a stone cold ice cream maker. So I think that if you were to be stuck inside cold all day, taking orders from annoying children and birthday party kids saying, hey, can I try this? Can I try this? And then on top of that, having the forearm strength to just create these concoctions. So you never get to not be cold. You're always working out and you're always taking orders from everybody. I just really think that you would hate that job. Am I close? Is that a job that you would despise?
I mean, yeah, I don't think I would enjoy that at all. No, not at all. I do know people who worked at Cold Stone.
Oh, yes. There's nothing wrong with the job.
Shout out to you guys. You churn that ice cream on that stone better than anyone.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like that. No.
Yeah. No disregard to anybody who does do that. It's just I'm thinking of my dear friend David Hoffman, and I just think for him that would be a bad job. All right, what's a bad job for me, Dave?
Okay, Phil, I don't think you would be very good at this, and I don't think you'd like it.
Okay.
I don't think you should or could ever be a food critic.
Oh, that is great. Yes,
because you don't really have an expansive enough palate for it. You don't enjoy so many things, and yeah, I don't think you would make a very good food critic.
You know, I go into a restaurant and I say, "Oh, excuse me, there's a fly in my soup." "Yes, sir. That's supposed to be there. That's the actual meal. It's fly dish soup." I'd say, "Oh, well, please bring me out some chicken noodle." And I'd say, and I would just here's the
Fly to
thing,
soup.
fly dish soup. Yes, I would have a great palate for the things that I like. So if I happen to like it and your tastes align with mine, if you can bring your tastes back to a Stone Age primitive place that mine is at, I'm going to recommend to you the best places because they have fantastic cuisine. It's whenever we get to go to things that I would find, oh, I don't know, icky or yucky. You're right. I think that would be a horrible job for me.
Yeah, it's not really Stone Age. It's more 1950s America, I think.
Probably. You're right.
Yeah.
You know what? You're not wrong. Did you have any others that you thought of? Because I have one that I thought maybe, but
No, that one was the first one that came to mind, and I was like, perfect. That one
perfect.
works.
Yes. The only other one that I thought of, and it just happens to be because I looked in the mirror today and I thought of mine. Have you ever been to a place that threads eyebrows?
like plucks the hair out of your eyebrows?
No,
Or
not plucks. So maybe you're not even aware of this job. So they get a piece of thread and they kind of like hold it with their one end of it with their mouth, and then the other they use in conjunction with their hand. And it essentially just it does indeed pluck your eyebrows, but it's a little bit, it can go a little bit further than what tweezers can do. It's an art really, but I think that precision, that dedication, and the monotony eventually that would cause, I think would
no,
not be
yeah,
for you.
no, thanks.
No thanks. All right,
That
cool.
doesn't sound pleasurable at all. Okay, a job that I think that you would both like and enjoy, and I think this is kind of obvious, but I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so I know that you obviously are very interested in sports and you work in broadcasting and fantasy sports and all that, but very specifically, I think you have a great voice,
Ah.
and I think you could put on a play-by-play commentator voice and do football commentary. I think you'd be very good at this. I think you'd love it, and I think it could be the job for you.
Well, thank you. I it has always allured me. The only part that really just doesn't do anything for me is I'd want to skip the process for that, right? I wouldn't want to go and analyze some games out of Tuscaloosa and just say, oh, well, second out, and he runs and he's still running, and then the one kid knocked the other out. I'd rather just go straight to the NFL, but that's probably why I haven't pursued that as much. But yeah, no, I really would.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, I
Okay,
wouldn't.
because to go straight to that, you need some real connections first.
Oh yes, oh yes. Okay, jobs we think the other would enjoy. My first one that's kind of like you said, close to home, so I didn't want to pick this one, but I thought might be good is a stand-up comedian. I think that you have the ability. I think you're funny. First of all, I think your delivery would be great, and then I also think that you have that self-deprecating humor that you could be, that you have the confidence within yourself to be like, yeah, it's just what it is, and you'd be fine with it. I think that you'd be very good at being a stand-up comedian. But
I do think I would enjoy that, and I think that there's a potential that I could be good at it. But if you ask any stand-up comedian, how do you get good at stand-up comedy? How do you become successful at stand-up comedy? You bomb a lot. Like
yeah,
that's how you get good,
yeah,
is you bomb a lot and then eventually something clicks and then it works. And I don't know if I have the courage to bomb
bomb, yeah.
time after time on stage in front of an audience. Oof. Or that low level where you're like, get up on stage to do your set and there's like 3 people in the bar listening
Yeah,
to you.
and maybe one of them gives you a huh.
A chuckle. Or worse than that is those pity laughs. Yeah, those.
Does make sense. All right, but the one that I actually am going to go with, and you kind of mentioned it last week, and I thought, you know what? I think that he really would like this. I'm going to go with a pilot. You're obviously a very well traveled man, but I think you like that. You would love to be a traveler, whether that be for military purposes, commercial purposes, whatever it could possibly be. I think you would love to be a pilot. Like you love sights. You love to be like above the clouds. You like to have control. I mean, a pilot, I think, really does do a lot of service for you.
Yeah, that was my dad's dream job. It was my dad's dream job to be a pilot. Obviously, there were the reason he didn't do it, the reason he didn't pursue it. Well, besides familial pressure, he would have had to, at the time he was living in South Africa, he would have had to have done 10 years in the South African Air Force
Mm,
in order to become a pilot, even
right.
commercially or for whatever. So he ended up going and studying business. So yeah, I mean that was his dream job, and I wanted at the time I wanted to be a pilot, and yeah, I my dad basically said to me, no, like you don't love it like I did, and so I don't think it's for you. And I think he was right. Like I think I could have become a pilot and I would have enjoyed it, but you know what? I wouldn't have felt good about it. I wouldn't have felt good about it because that was his dream. And he's right. I don't love it or am not passionate about it like he always has been and still is. Like I honestly don't think it would have been fair if I had had that opportunity to become a pilot
Hmm.
after that was his dream. You know, I would have felt that would have broken my heart to do what he had always wanted to do. And like as much as I might have enjoyed it, it wasn't a love of mine. So that's why I never pursued it.
Let's go to our last one here. Job we think the other would be perfect for that they might not have ever thought of. Now, Hoffman, you go first on this last one.
Now, if you're listening to this podcast because you want to laugh, I hope we've made you laugh at least, or we will make you laugh in the game section. I'm almost certain of that because
Yes.
that's already been recorded. But this is serious. I think that Phil, you are so easy to be around, and you make people feel good when they're around you. And so I think that you could be a carer. And now I don't mean that you're going to be wiping people's butts, but if you
I
do
could do
want to
that
do that,
too,
then yeah, you could do that.
depending on the
But
person.
I mean, like almost like a therapist, but not like sitting in a New York office with a notepad and like someone lies down on
And a
a
pipe.
couch and you say, "And how's your relationship with your mother?" Nothing like that. I'm thinking more like you work at this almost like a resort for people who are
Hmm.
having a hard time, and there's like a lake, beautiful scenery, and like trees and nature, and you go for a stroll with this guy who's having a hard time down by the lake, and you just talk about stuff, and you make him feel better because that's what you're best at. It's making people feel better. So I think you'd be very good at that, and I don't think that's something you would have ever thought of.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I haven't. Joy in life for me is getting to know people of all shapes and sizes and kinds. I like getting to know what makes people tick. And after a certain point, like it just excites me, no matter who it is. Like I could be having a lunch with a good friend that I've known for a while, but maybe never really delved into deeper topics with, or somebody that I met for the first time. I think I try to find my appropriate way into talking to people, so I'm not like fully outgoing. But once I gain a comfortability with somebody, oh yeah, oh yeah, that's something. I know in college I even took a psych class, and I just find the human mind so interesting. But thank you. That's a very generous job. I would have thought maybe professional hugger if but either
I mean,
way.
that's definitely in the job description
Oh,
is
certainly.
professional hugger.
Yes, of course. And I do give very good hugs, very warm hugs. Yes. All right. Job, I think you would have been fine, would have been perfect for you.
Fine.
But
That would have been fine.
yeah, you would have been just dandying. No, but yeah, my first one that I wasn't too sure about, but I thought you might enjoy. What about an interpreter? I know you have a love for languages, but I think also if you were to if you were to work at like a United Nations or something and be an interpreter for what would be maybe like I
You
was
know
about to
I
say.
only speak English, right?
No, I know, but I think if you do have a natural love to go and learn other languages. So therefore, if you're incentivized to then go and be paid to learn another language, I think you would be happy with that. And then also to be the ambassador, the African ambassador for the Rwandan representation for at the UN. I think that you'd find that incredibly cool. So I mean, an interpreter to a certain degree, maybe not an interpreter for like Wells Fargo banking thing. I don't think that would. But like I'm thinking like United Nations, you're surrounded of worldly affairs. I think that an interpreter in that capacity would appeal to you. But that's not my number one. My number one that I thought for you. What about a civil engineer, specifically for bridges? Because I know how much I know this is going to be a tough sell, but I do think that this might have worked for you because I know that you do have a fondness for architecture at some point.
Go on.
Something, yes. And then for bridges specifically, I think if you are the type of person who likes to make connections, towards other things, whether that be connecting from one topic to another, whether it be from one person to another. And so bridges just felt like a natural place for you rather than like a building. I don't think a building would necessarily appeal to you. I don't think statues would necessarily appeal to you. I thought bridges, because they also have a lot of functionality that I think you would appreciate in how it needs to be.
Let me address. I can tell you put a lot of thought into these, and
Yes.
I'm being serious there. You also, I think, are wildly wrong. So first, the interpreter thing. It's not that I would necessarily hate the job itself, and I do love languages to an extent, not as much as other people. For example, my mother, like her grasp of languages is very. She picks them up easily. That's what she
Really?
studied at university. She
Nice.
speaks several languages. I'm not that good at picking up languages. I'm really not. It's a hard thing for me to do. So I don't think I would be very good at this job, nor would I be qualified or really want to do it very much. Now the civil engineer thing. I have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering.
Yes.
I wouldn't say I have a passion for architecture. I have a bachelor's degree in engineering. I very much abandoned that career path because I wanted to be an actor. I hated doing engineering. I shared a lot of lectures because there's a lot in common between civil and mechanical engineering. I shared a lot of lectures with the civil engineers. I don't think I would enjoy being like engineering itself. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I don't like it. That's why I left it. I could be making good money.
Oh, yeah.
If I'd stayed in, like, not necessarily big money yet, but down the line, I could be making very decent, healthy living kind of money. Very much middle class, comfortable living if I stayed in engineering, and I abandoned that to be making almost no money trying to pursue an arts career because I don't like it. I don't like engineering. Now, I will give you this credit. If I were to be an engineer, I would want to build bridges.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
My grandfather, my mom's dad, was a civil engineer. He was a royal engineer in the British Army during World War II, and his job was basically to go with the army. They would, if they needed to, they would build a bridge across a ravine or whatever. They would, like, small even bridges just across a creek or whatever.
Sure.
And then when the army had crossed, they would blow it up so that the enemy couldn't follow them. And my grandfather was fascinated by bridges. And so if I was going to build anything, it would be bridges. So I will give you that. But otherwise, no, I'm not going to be an engineer. Don't want to be an engineer. And yeah, no.
All right. Well, there we go. I got professional hugger. He got a civil engineer to make bridges between people and between pieces of land. But either way, interesting place that we took it to. Let's go to a revamped mini-seg. This episode of POWWOW Podcast is sponsored by Sides.
Meet Sides, SIDES, an app that helps you take the law into your own hands.
Turn ordinary agreements into binding contracts in seconds. Then if a dispute arises, Sides will step in to resolve it for you.
Wait, Phil, that was supposed to be my line.
What did we agree to in the contract?
I don't know. I guess we can use Sides to settle this dispute, because each dispute costs a small one-time fee.
And if you win, which I will, it's all awarded back to you.
Sign up now and get 16% off for a limited time only. The prodigal son returns. It is Fun Factoid.
This was our first mini segment, right?
This was the first ever mini segment, and It used to be that we would just present a fun fact that we discovered during the week. And my goodness, it has been a long time since we did this mini segment, but it is back, revamped, and the game here is, I'm going to present you with two facts, Phil, and you are going to tell me which one is true and which one is not true, or false, if you will.
I shall, and I will.
So, first of all, Australia is wider than the moon. So from side to side, Australia is wider than the moon is. Second fact, the Eiffel Tower can grow by about 6 feet during a particularly hot summer.
Well, this would be where an engineering degree would help me, as I don't know if metal expands.
It does expand, obviously. Everything expands and contracts in heat.
I believe Oh, that is interesting because the moon is round, so therefore it'd be from one outermost point to the other. And I don't know if we would be able to see Australia if it were up in the sky. So I will go. I will say the fact would be Australia is wider than the moon.
You're correct. Yeah, Australia is in fact wider than the moon. The Eiffel
Yes.
Tower grows by only about 15 centimeters during a hot summer. 6 feet would be very impressive. But you know what? Size isn't everything. Okay.
How it expands doesn't matter. All right. It just
It's
does what it
it's
does.
it's a it's not a grower. Okay.
Jesus. All right. My fun factoid selections here. The famed Chocolate River in the 1971 filmed version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory accounted for over half the film's budget, amounting to $1.6 million to maintain. And the second fact would be 93% of people to ever exist on Earth are dead. Roughly 50% of them died from malaria.
Whoa. I'm sorry. Say that second one again.
93% of people to ever exist on Earth are dead.
Okay.
Roughly 50% of them died from malaria. Which of those is true?
I'm going to say that the first one is true because I'm pretty sure there's actually a higher percentage of people of all the people who've ever existed, it's more than 7% that are alive today or something. It's something weird like that that's actually kind of weird to think about. But, and yeah, 50% dying from malaria, that just doesn't sound right. That seems
All
like
right.
way too much. So I'm going to say, but the Chocolate River thing being half the budget of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory sounds very believable.
Right. The famed Chocolate River took I don't know how much to maintain because I've completely made that up. I
Oh,
just thought of our upcoming guest for the upcoming game here and I was inspired by chocolate. So I thought of him and a chocolate river. But apparently 93% of people ever on earth who are dead and a lot of them died from malaria. A lot of oranges.
50%.
Yeah,
Wow.
roughly 50%. Who knew? Who knew? Outlandish jobs for ourselves is the once more of this week. Now, David, I was going to go first for this one because I want to see if you believe for this to be outlandish enough. Because I'm thinking of like a safari travel guide is like outlandish, obviously. But tell me if you think that this is outlandish, because an outlandish job for myself that I could see myself ever having would be an auctioneer. It's like 75.
I'll give it to you. I don't think it's super outlandish, but I'll give it to you. Yeah, I think
Okay,
it's a not something most people aspire to be to
right.
to
And I
be.
just I've gone to a few auctions, and there's one guy who's just completely conventional with that. Do I have 75? Do I have 75? 100? 200. I can please give me 200. Somebody give me 200. And it's almost like a chant. It's almost like going to a Catholic church where it's and but it's a chant of its own with like like they actually added. I've always found it absolutely fascinating. So an auctioneer would be my outlandish job that I would pick for myself. Hoffman, what is an outlandish job you would pick for yourself?
Funny. I was gonna pick pilot, and well, at least I had that written down as like, is this outlandish? But I don't think it's that outlandish. Outlandish, excuse me, because I actually really have considered this. But so I'm gonna go with assassin.
Ooh, like
You know,
James
like
Bond?
yeah, like James Bond, or more like less spy, more assassin. And you know what? I'll get over the fact that I have to kill people. I mean, it's tough, but I'm really going to be killing. I'm a good assassin. I'm going to be killing bad people, like evil dictators and war criminals and stuff like that.
So would you be a hitman or an assassin? Because an assassin, I think you work for like a government or an entity, whereas a
Not
hitman.
necessarily. I could you can be an assassin for hire. An
Okay,
assassin is an assassin. I
okay.
think hitman has a connotation where you're just going after anybody who you're hired to kill, whereas assassin you're probably going after high profile targets.
Ah, yes.
Which is that's my specialty.
Yeah, I was
So I'm
gonna
going to be
say,
going after these high profile targets. And if movies are to be believed, which of course they
of
are, movies
course.
are entirely based on fact. Any
Mm-hmm.
assassination job that I'm hired to do, there's going to be a beautiful woman who needs seducing.
Of course.
And and that sounds like something I'd be good at. So
Yes. What would be your modus operandi as far as killing people? Would you be a poisoner? Would you be a sniper? Would you be a
Oh.
saboteur?
I don't know. I didn't even think about that. No, sniper is too. It's too.
Distant.
Yeah, too distant. No, it's got to. If I'm going to kill somebody, it's going to be
You need to
personal, or it's going to be like,
sniff 'em.
oh, look him in the eye.
Yeah.
So I think gun works, or maybe like a knife or something like that. But very clean, very deliberate, and no mistakes. That kind of.
Pew pew. Okay, sounds
Yeah.
good.
If you're familiar with the podcast, you know that now comes the game. And of course, we've brought on a guest, one of our favorite guests, because this is a friend of both Phil and myself. His name is David Sampson, and he is absolutely disgustingly good looking.
Oh, I can say the same thing about you, Mr. Hoffman.
I'll just
Not
sit
for
here,
fun.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, as you should.
I guess I'm just disgusting. All right, guys. Hey, welcome, both of you guys. Of course, being that David is David's guest, look at that. I get 2 questions. Here we go. Samson, what are 3 adjectives you would use to describe yourself? Be careful.
Okay. Sexy,
Yeah.
charming, ridiculously handsome. I think those
Ridiculous. That's not an adjective.
It's like
Ridiculously.
an adjective of an adjective. It's like not only am I handsome, but I'm
It's called an
ridiculously handsome.
adverb, actually.
Adverb would be what you're looking for.
Adverb. We're not describing a verb.
It's still called an adverb.
Even
I
though you
promise
describe you're doing an
It's
adjective and an adjective.
Yeah, an adverb can describe a verb or an adjective.
See, when I think of adverb, it's like adjective verb. There's no verb in that whatsoever, you know?
Think of
Do
something
we
going
want to play
swimmingly.
a game, or do we want to have a grammar lesson?
Yes, apparently.
Maybe I need a bit of both.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my question that was your brilliantly thought out answer to Phil's question.
Yeah.
My question, David,
Hmm.
if the paycheck was 10 grand for the day, would you do background acting in a porn film?
Background.
Wow.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So you don't actually have to get naked or anything. Like you're I don't know. You're like a party guest, and then sex happens while you're in the background.
Sex happens. It's a
It
motto.
just happens.
So I'm actually in the background, not just like the guy that's like having cereal while they're doing stuff under the table or whatever.
Or that.
Because there's a big difference.
Look,
big difference.
The
you know?
script is top secret. I don't have access to it, David. All I know
Okay.
is that on set tomorrow, you're going to be doing background in a porn film, and I just want to know if you'll do it for 10 grand.
You know what? I think that I would. And then if anyone asked, I would just be like, oh, I was just doing my own thing. They just happened to be filming and doing stuff while I was there.
Even if you are the guy eating cereal while they're...
Exactly. Well, I mean, cereal too. I'll just... Man, those Cocoa Puffs is so good.
what's the story? I was just sitting in my house, and some people came in, and I don't know what they were doing in the living room, but I just, I was fine with it.
Yeah, they came over and they said, yeah, we want to do a documentary on you and what your morning is like, and so just don't mind anything else. Just eat your cereal, do your thing. And I said, okay. And then they did their thing.
You think people will buy that story?
No.
They did each other's thing. For my third question, David, how much would someone have to pay you to completely shave your head and keep it for 3 months? So you keep shaving it for the entirety of that 3 months, and then at the end of that 3-month mark, you can then begin to grow it back.
So is this like for a role, or is this just in general, just shaving your head and that's it?
Just in
your
general,
head?
I think.
Yeah, I mean, in your head, you can think of it as a role. I mean, technically, somebody's paying you to play the part of a bald man.
Look, you go bald for 3 months, you're going to take on a new persona.
Yeah, of course.
The hitman.
Porn actor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There's that too.
He's a
Or
serial
background
porn actor.
How much do they have to pay me? You know what? Give me an extra 10 grand on top of my background day.
Hey, that's 20 grand you got.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
In one podcast, we've already made him 20 grand. Come on, guys. Bring the offers around.
Actually, I don't think anyone would actually recognize me if I was to go and shave my head and then go on to set as a background person.
Great
You know?
idea. Just shave the head
just
and no one will
switch
recognize
the order
you.
of it. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Switch the order of shaving and then porn acting. All right.
Now,
Yeah, exactly.
So all we need now is someone to write the check.
Well, does anyone have an extra 20 grand lying around? And a porno set for me to
DM
be in the
us
back
at
of.
POWWOW_podcast. We'll put you through to David Sampson.
There we go.
POWWOWporno.com.
So, with Sampson being Hoffman's guest today, that means that I get to bring up the game and create it. Therefore, something that I'm sure that David Sampson has heard time and time again, the game I have dubbed Who Did This? That is the name of the game. Of course, we make it so that we will list a couple of things and say which person or which entity did this. It's fairly straightforward. Samson, who would you like to face off against first, seeing as how you have not ever won a single game in either of your POWWOW appearances, so you have a lot to live up to.
He's beaten me once. I think he's beaten me once.
Did I beat you once?
He's been on at least 3 times.
I've been on 3
times. And I think he beat me once, yeah.
Okay, he might have beaten you once.
I'm not 100% sure.
And I'm undefeated against you because I know I've never lost to you. And I don't plan on doing it again.
Well, all right. Well, you know what? I want to go against Hoffman this time and see how this goes. I did well against him last time, I think.
Bring it on, Philly Poo.
He wants a warm-up, so let's give him one. First game in Who Did This? Guys, we'll start off with you first, Samson. Who was the last U.S. president before the Civil War? Who was the last U.S. president before the Civil War? Of course, that would have been Abraham Lincoln was the one during the Civil War. Don't know if you guys during the Civil War. Don't know if you guys knew that. First option here, Samson: Millard Fillmore, B. Franklin Pierce, C. James Buchanan, or D. Bill Clinton.
C.
You're gonna go C. James Buchanan.
Yes.
We go to you, Hoffman. Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, or the very viable Bill Clinton.
They're all fairly close, if I'm not mistaken. Pierce,
they are
Buchanan, and Fillmore,
and Clinton,
and Clinton.
I'm gonna also go with C, James Buchanan.
James Buchanan. Okay. So with both of you getting the same answer, that means you both have the same result. But that is the result of a point. You both did get it. I had them in order. Millard Fillmore, 1850 to 53. Franklin Pierce, 53 to 57. James Buchanan, 57 to 61. And of course, that precedes the Civil War. So congratulations to both of you.
I'm sorry, Bill Clinton?
Bill Clinton, we're going to go with unlisted. Yes. All right. All right. Second question. We'll start with you first, Hoffman. And remember, since you won last week, you do have a skipping stone. We both will have a skipping stone available to us, but as it pertains to this game.
Yes.
All right. Who was?
Get on with it, boy.
Thank you. Who was the highest grossing Walt Disney animated feature film ever? Would that be A, Frozen 2, B, Moana, C, Tangled, or D, Zootopia? Frozen 2, Moana, Tangled, Zootopia. Highest grossing film. Animated.
Now, if Frozen had been an option, I would have for sure selected that. I am going to guess A, Frozen 2. I think it just rode the hype of Frozen 1.
Okay, and Samson.
Wow. Yeah, I was in the same boat as Hoffman. He said, if Frozen, the original, had been there, I would have definitely chosen that, but he said it was Frozen 2, Moana,
Tangled,
and Zootopia.
You know, I think so. Part of me feels like this is like completely out of left field, but it might just be right. I'm going to go with D, Zootopia.
He does get that wrong. Frozen 2, of course, is the right answer there, Hoffman, and it did surpass Frozen. Moana was number 6 all time, Tangled 7, and Zootopia coming in at number 4. This next question we go on, and of course, Samson will answer first, should Hoffman not want to use the skipping stone. Who was the first to win their first World Rugby Men's 15s Player of the Year, formerly known as International Player of the Year? Samson, would it be Dan Carter, Richie McCaw, Keith Wood, or Antoine Dupont?
I'm sorry, you're asking me a rugby question against Hoffman?
What? Could I possibly do that?
You just want me to lose.
Best believe, Samson, that I do indeed have a question favoring you later on. But for this point,
I'm sorry. I'm gonna need to hear those names again.
I've
never heard any of them in my life.
Dan Carter, Richie
Okay.
McCaw, Keith Wood, or Antoine Dupont. And I'm sure I'm saying all those names correctly, too.
Who won their first award first?
Who won their first award first, correct. Some of these
You
are
know what?
multiple-time winners. World-renowned.
Hmm.
I'm going to go with D. Antoine Dupont.
Antoine Dupont. And the real answer would be, Hoffman?
Now, I'm not sure exactly. I do know that David Sampson got it wrong.
Yeah.
I do
Great.
know that.
This is-
Because Antoine Dupont won last year and is like 24, 3, 2 years old or something like that.
He started really young.
Whereas
Yeah.
Richie McCaw and Dan Carter and Keith Wood both won years. Well, Richie McCaw and Dan Carter and I think Keith Wood are all retired now. So, but who won it first? I think Richie McCaw.
Is who you're going with?
Yeah, I mean, I think. I'm not sure.
So you were correct. Sampson is indeed wrong. Antoine Dupont won in 2021, just last year. And the first of these men to win their first one, as Dan Carter and Richie McCaw have both won multiples. But it is Keith Wood who won in 2001 that takes the win.
Keith Wood was my second answer.
Sampson, who was the first to win their first NBA MVP? Actually, we're going to go to Hoffman first for this one. Who was the first to win their first NBA Most Valuable Player of the Year award, Hoffman? Would that be Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Moses Malone, or Steve Nash?
You know, I have to believe if you were coming up with this question for Sampson, that you would expect me to skip it, in which case you might have another question that favors Sampson. But I'm still going to skip it.
He's still going to skip it. All right, who would your answer have been, Hoffman?
I don't know, Steve Nash.
Steve Nash would have been the absolute. David would have been the absolute wrong one. Yes.
Yeah.
Sampson, who would it have been had you had a chance to guess?
I think it was it Chamberlain?
It was indeed Chamberlain. Moses Malone is not that old. He won in 78-79 for his first one. Jordan won in 87-88 for his first one, whereas Wilt Chamberlain won in the season 59-60. So he takes the cake in that one. But we are indeed skipping, and we'll go back to Hoffman first. Who was the first to win their first Oscar for Best Acting / Supporting Acting Performance? So just the first to win their Oscar.
Okay.
We'll go with Al Pacino, Jeremy Irons, Robin Williams, or Roberto Benigni. Hoffman?
Wow.
All in the 90s. I'll give you that hint.
Okay, that helps. Because I was about to say, well, I know Robin Williams was in the 90s. Good Will Hunting. Now, I'm going to say Al Pacino.
He's going with Al Pacino. Sampson, where do you go?
That's tough, actually. I think I have to go with Robin Williams.
Robin Williams. Al Pacino won in 1993, whereas Robin Williams did indeed win in 1998, as did Roberto Benigni. The real answer here was Jeremy Irons, winning to kick off the decade in 1990. So neither of you get a point. And we will go to our last question that Hoffman will again answer first, as he is leading in a 2-1 bid. So Sampson, keep that in mind. Before the show, I sent each of you a text with a number. Now, don't say your numbers aloud, as I also sent a number to our good friend, Tim. The question to follow is this. Who did I send the highest number to? David Sampson, David Hoffman, our good friend, Tim, or I sent all three of you the same number? A, B, C, or D? We'll go to you first, Hoffman.
I mean, it's really just a guess, right?
I sent each of you a number, and you have your own to work off of.
Yeah, but it's really just a guess because there's infinite numbers that you could have sent. I think you sent all of us the same number.
You think I sent all of you the same number? Okay.
Yeah.
Samson, we go to you. Now, remember, you are a point behind.
There's no logical way to figure this out. But I have to choose a different answer. I think that you sent me the highest number.
You think I sent you the highest number? Okay.
Yes.
The other options were Hoffman or our good friend Tim. And they're both wrong because I did indeed send all three of you the same number, meaning Hoffman takes a victory 3-1.
There you go.
And that number was? That number was
1690.
There we go. If you guys remember, before we started recording, I got a call. That was from Tim saying, "What in the hell?"
I thought so.
What in the hell?
I had the suspicion. I knew when you sent me that number, I was like, "This is not totally random. There's no way."
Well, of course, guys, I had a tiebreaker, but it'll die and go to the withering winds of forgotten
There's never
tiebreakers.
A tiebreaker with me.
Never needing and never necessary.
Demolished every
Absolutely. Well, let's keep the demolition derby rolling. Hoffman, your rendition of it.
Okay, my game. It's pretty much the same. There's a couple questions where okay. Just don't read too much into that. Just ignore me. I'm being stupid. Who saved? I'm not going to give you any more details on this question because it should be easy. But who saved the Na'vi? A. Edmure Tully. B. Dana Scully. C. Jake Sully. Or D. Charles Mully. David Sampson.
I'm sorry. Say the names one more time.
A. Edmure Tully. B. Dana Scully. C. Jake Sully. Or D. Charles Mully.
I'm going to go with A. Edward Tully.
Edmure Tully.
Oh, Edmure Tully, yeah.
Yeah, get it right, David. I'm going to go with A. Edmund Tully.
Okay, they both go with A. Edmure Tully. Any idea who the Na'vi are?
No.
The Na'vi are the blue people from the movie Avatar.
Oh.
And Edmure Tully is the uncle of Robb Stark and Jon Snow in Game of Thrones. So, no, you're both wrong.
Right.
0 points. Dana Scully is from X-Files. Charles Mully, I don't know, I can't remember who he was, but he's a real person or a character or something. And the answer was C, Jake Sully, or Jake Sully, as they say in the Na'vi community. Yes, both wrong on that question. Okay.
Very good question.
Oh, thank you.
I thought it was like Felice Na'vi died, like some sort of Christmas sort of thing.
You could have asked me to repeat the question.
Who saved Christmas? I was going to say it wasn't the Grinch.
Okay, question 2. Which children's program from our era had this theme song? I'm going to hum it, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Was it A, Winnie the Pooh, B, the Flintstones, C, Postman Pat, or D, Thomas the Tank Engine? And this time we're going to you first, Phil. Would you like me to mumble it again?
Please.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
Okay, go back to the options, please. One more time.
Winnie the Pooh, the Flintstones, Postman Pat, or Thomas the Tank Engine?
It's going to be the largest crock pot of baloney if it's Postman Pat. I've never even heard of Postman Pat. So I'm going to go with Thomas the Tank Engine.
David Sampson, what do you think?
You know what's funny is actually because I've never heard this tune before and I've never heard of Postman Pat, I'm going to go with Postman Pat.
You guys don't know Postman? Oh, I guess it's maybe British. I don't know.
It sounds like a British show.
Well, it's not Winnie the Pooh. That one goes, what is Winnie the Pooh? Winnie the Pooh. It's not the Flintstones, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So one of you is correct. And that one of you is Philip Amrine. I'm very disappointed.
No.
Thomas the Tank Engine. So you guys know Thomas the Tank Engine, right?
Yeah, but I don't know the song.
It's been a while since I've heard the song.
Come on.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Postman Pat. No, not that one. Postman Pat. I thought that was pretty famous. Anyway. All right. So it's 1-0 to Philip.
Yeah.
Question 3. Who tries to kill Obi-Wan Kenobi? Is it A, Commander Cody, B, Captain Rhodey, C, Sergeant Brody, or D, Princess Jody? We're going to you first, Samson.
I'm sorry, say them one more time.
A, Commander Cody, B, Captain Rhodey, C, Sergeant Brody, or D, Princess Jody?
I'm going to go with A, Captain Cody.
A is Commander Cody.
Commander Cody, yeah.
Commander Cody, okay.
Yeah. I don't think he should get
Philip.
the point if he can't even say it right. I'm going to go with A as well.
Okay, A, Commander Cody is correct. You both get a point. It's now 2-1 in favor of Philip. Now, this is my favorite question. After defeating his adversary in a wrestling match, who turned to challenge the crowd and said, "I'm the big buck of this lick. If any of you want to try it, come on and whet your horns." And this time we're going to Phil first.
Do I get options?
Oh, sorry, the options.
Answer it, Phil.
A, John Quincy Adams. B, Ulysses S. Grant.
Oh.
C, Abraham Lincoln. Or D, Teddy Roosevelt.
Wow. So the thing is that because I think I know more about this than I think Samson would. So it's even dangerous for me to give my logic. But I'll do David a favor here. I know.
I will.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
I know that Abraham Lincoln did wrestle as a lad. I want to. He's notoriously a good wrestler, and plus he had length, so he had a lot of limber. He was a very limber president. But the word buck goes along with what I would imagine for one bully pulpit of a man, Teddy Roosevelt. So I'm going to go with Teddy Roosevelt because John Quincy Adams has mutton chops, and I don't think any man with mutton chops can wrestle.
Are you kidding me? I feel like mutton chops are the secret weapon of a wrestler. Anyway,
truly.
Samson, what would you say? What do you think?
You know what's funny is actually I vaguely remember as well that Abraham Lincoln also was a wrestler.
But how funny!
But I think just because you feel like he said buck doesn't mean it actually is, and I think that's something that actually Abraham Lincoln would say. So I'm going to go with good old Abe.
One of you is correct. And that one of you is David Samson.
Yes!
Abraham Lincoln.
Yes, you suck! You suck! I'm sorry. This is the first time for me in a while.
Okay, you are tied at 2 points apiece. This is not something that I knew about Abraham Lincoln. And I pride myself on my history knowledge. He's actually enshrined in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. It's insane. Yeah, I didn't know this at all. He defeated only once in approximately 300 matches. That's crazy. Anyway, he was no one took him up on his challenge. No one in the crowd said yes to that. Yeah, there you go. So Abraham Lincoln, great wrestler. Question 5. Who did the play-by-play commentary for Super Bowl 50 when Peyton Manning and Von Miller led Philip's beloved Broncos to glory? Was it A, John Madden, B, Jim Nantz, C, Al Michaels, or D, Joe Buck? Samson, we'll go to you first.
So,
who did the play-by-play commentary for Super Bowl 50 when the Broncos beat the Panthers? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And went to glory, down in history in Phil's pants. Was it A, John Madden, B, Jim Nantz, C, Al Michaels, or D, Joe Buck?
Wow. Now, hold on. Before he answers, I have a question. Can I wait till he answers and then skip?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Dang, this is close.
It's not you first. It's Samson first.
I know, but I have to make a decision whether I want to skip it or not before he answers.
Okay.
Because he's to answer first.
He is.
And I think no, you know what? I think I'm going to let it.
Really?
I think I'm going to let it ride. Yeah, I think I do know who this is. So I'll let him answer.
Okay.
Wow. All right. Well, my answer is Jim Nantz.
Okay, B, Jim Nantz. Philip.
Dang, actually, that's who I was going to pick. So there's really no reason.
Do you want a tiebreaker? Or do you want...
Yeah, I was going to go with Jim Nantz because I thought it was CBS. CBS is Jim Nantz, Channel 5 for us over here in Arizona. So I will go with Jim Nantz because I believe it was CBS who broadcast that Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're both right. Jim Nantz did the play-by-play. It was CBS. And so we have a score of 3-3.
Yeah!
Which means we're going to a tiebreaker. But first, my skip question. Because why not? Who has won? This doesn't count for points, by the way. Who has won a FIFA World Cup?
Oh, thank God I did.
Lionel Messi. B. Cristiano Ronaldo. C. David Beckham. Or D. None of the above.
So who has not?
No, who has won?
Oh, who has?
Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, David Beckham, or none of the above. And we'll go to you first, Phil. Just for
fun.
Craps and giggles.
Yes. I think it would have been Ronaldo.
Okay.
None of the above.
None of the above would have been correct.
Oh, World Cup. Duh.
Yeah, World Cup. What did you think I said?
What else is there?
Sorry, I thought that there was like a Champions League thing, and then I was just thinking like, oh, because
I'm pretty sure they've all won the Champions League. I don't know about
really?
David Beckham.
I don't think Beckham has.
Cristiano Ronaldo has.
Yeah, I know.
And Lionel Messi, I think, has. And the Champions
definitely.
League, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know about David Beckham, though. He probably.
I don't think David Beckham has.
All right, let's Google this. He did win a Champions League title.
Oh, wow.
Because he was on Manchester, right?
Yeah, with Manchester United, he won.
Yeah. Oh. And they won a lot.
He won in 1999. Yeah.
That sounds about right, yeah.
To the tiebreaker. And David will have to answer first.
No, I was the one who answered first last time. Remember Jim Nance?
I know, but you forced the tiebreaker. We usually go in these games to whoever catches up to force the tiebreaker.
Right, which would be you. Yeah, okay. How many points were scored in total in the Broncos' first Super Bowl 12?
Oh, gosh.
Super Bowl 12. Back in 19-something.
How many points were scored in total? How many points
total? Closest wins.
Oh, so not multiple choice.
No.
No, that's the tiebreaker element of it.
Don't overthink it,
I'm going to say 35.
Okay, 35.
34.
You dirty man. That's so dirty. That is the most dirtiest. How can you call this a tiebreaker? That is so dirty.
It's a valid strategy when you're trying to get closer. Why would you leave an avenue open for the thing to be right in the middle? No.
You know what? I will rescind my hold on. I will rescind my tiebreaker. 33. Continue, please.
What if it's 34? Could you imagine?
They score the score. Let me tell you the exact score.
Yeah, I'm sticking with 33, but my actual answer, if I had to like realistically guess, it's like I think it was like 14-3. I think so. It was like what, 17?
Super Bowl 12. The Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
scored 27 points.
Oh.
And the Denver Broncos scored 10 points, which means 37 total.
No.
And we have
a winner. Yes! This just finally happened! You suck! They're lifting their headphones right now. Oh! I could not be more happier. Wow. Vengeance is mine. Finally.
And diarrhea is mine.
it had to happen one day, Phil.
I know.
Yeah.
How's it feel?
I think the worst part about it was that I lost on both a wrestling and an Abraham Lincoln question. That just feels insulting to me as an American.
What's insulting is that actually what's poetic justice that you did the 34 to my 35 and you still lost. You stupid son of a.
Yeah, I did 33. Thank you very much.
I mean, you would have lost either way.
Yeah, I know. But wow, I am actually completely shocked. I was willing to go below a lot. I thought it was a much lower score. So congratulations.
I thought so too.
Way to go.
Boy. Wow. Exhilarating. Truly wonderful.
Quite. Well, David Sampson, is there anything you would like to plug on your way out of here while you sneak away with your victory, your ill-begotten victory?
Yeah, I mean, you guys can just follow me on Instagram, Savid_Damson, switching the 2 letters, so it's SAVID_DAMSON.
And you have a production company that you would probably want to promote.
Yes, at D21 Productions over on Instagram as well and on Facebook and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so anywhere you look at for the letter D and the numbers 2 and 1, D21 Productions, you'll find them on social, and follow him for any and all upcoming productions, films, requests. He apparently does serial porno videos if you so choose and need. If you need a bald man in your,
he will shave his head.
He's willing and able to for no more than $10,000. That's the maximum he'll accept for it.
No, 20,000.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Thank you, David. All right. Enjoyed having you on the show somewhat. Thank you very much, David Sampson. We'll catch you next time.
Guys. See ya.
And with that crushing defeat, I go down to a middling record of 7-7, while David rises from the ashes to get up to 7-7 himself. We are tied.
The slappage is upon us, and here we go. Phil, why don't you go first?
Yes, I found a new song this week. One of the rare occasions I was happy for an advertisement. I don't know about you, Hoffman, but I am bombarded daily on advertisements, and I happened to stumble across a song that I truly do not believe I would have ever heard had it not been for such an advertisement. And it was for the song called Too Late by Ruby Red. Very good, very nice.
And what advertisement did you hear it in?
I believe it was an Instagram advertisement.
Okay, so it wasn't like something on TV.
No. It was an advertisement video that allowed me a link to go listen to it on Apple Music, and I did, and it was fantastic. Too Late by Ruby Red. It slaps.
Yeah, mine was, I had a song a few days ago that I'd written down. I'd heard it, and I was like, this is groovy, I love it. And I'd written it down, but then yesterday I saw The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nick Cage, where he plays himself.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
I saw it. Oh, it's great.
Yeah, I just adored it. You know, it's
fantastic.
It's not winning any awards.
No.
I love me some Nick Cage, and this was Nick Cage at his cagiest, nickiest best. It was just unapologetically Nick Cage, and credit to Pedro Pascal as well, also very good in the movie. I thought it was very entertaining, and it was I recommend you guys go see it. It's a good fun watch. Nothing too serious. Doesn't take itself seriously by any means.
No.
And I dare say it slaps.
You dare, please. Ah!
Thank you guys so much for listening. Before we leave you here today, we have a few thank yous to dish out. First of all, to Cass and Crossland and Jake Corlang for the music that you hear on this show. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you to Tara Amstutz and Josh Hans for their wonderful contributions to the podcast. Couldn't have done it without you guys. Thank you.
And of course, thank you to you, the listener, for your continued support and for sharing this podcast with your friends. Please do spread the word. We feel like we got a lot to say, fun things to share with you guys, games to play, etc. Find us on Instagram at POWWOW_podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, just about anywhere except Pandora, because, screw Pandora.
Put the bear back in the box.